Hello, everybody. Can everybody see me? Can everybody hear me? I'm excited. It's going to be fun. Awesome. So I am really excited to be here today. I just want to check in with everybody to make sure everything is accessible on your end. So if you guys can just sound off in the chats and just be like, hey, yeah, I can see you. I can hear you. Yeah, because, awesome. People can see, people can hear. All right. I'm excited. As you see, Tiffany is about to come on the stage, kind of have her in the backstage now. This is my first time. This is all of our first time using Hop-In. So, bear with us. We're going to be figuring it out as we go throughout the day. But, the Virgo and me had to have her queued up now so that there are no issues that arise. So I'm just so excited to welcome everybody today. Thank you for being here early, especially people on the West Coast. I know it is 8:13 in the morning over there. And, I don't take that for granted that y'all are here and up on this Saturday when we've been in quarantine for Lord knows how long. So thank you so much for being here. I have a fellow Virgo out here. Yes. Okay. So I want to welcome you guys all to Black Women Heal. And on behalf of our sponsors and our partners, we're really happy that you could join us. We look forward to what we're going to talk about today. Before we get started, I want to shout out all of our sponsors and partners. So first and foremost, at the top of the list is Soul Sister Network, run by V. Kanique Swinton. Just a beautiful collection and collaboration of Black women who are trying to manifest and give themselves permission to live their lives to the fullest. And so I really appreciate Kanique's role in all of this and just being not just a sponsor, but a support system, a collaborator, leading the promotions. It's been a great effort. And so I just appreciate all of her time and her network. We have Mock Tub Studios, Hello Updo, Whimsical Black Girl, Milt, Deny Beauty, The Black Aesthetic, Aromas by Chloe, My Rose Fleurs. I don't speak French, so I probably messed that up, but it's okay. I'm sorry. But they have these beautiful bouquets. Check out their website. Before y'all go spend money on Dose of Roses, check out Sis's website. She has really great products that I highly would recommend, especially if you like flowers. And Make Manifest BK. So all of our amazing sponsors, I'm really happy that you guys could be with us today. And I'm really happy that you've donated some really dope items for our giveaway. For those who might not have known, we're having a giveaway and a basket of stuff from all of our sponsors, along with Coco and Breezy Eyewear. And they've donated quality products, y'all. Y'all not getting little, rinky dink stuff. So definitely check out the websites and check out the businesses, themselves, but they all have really great products that they are willing to donate to a massive gift basket. So one of the people who registered today will receive that, and we will mail it to you, get your mailing information and send that your way. But they're all Black owned and operated businesses. We're really happy that we can continue to circulate the dollar in our community. So I'm about to just hop into everything. All right. I want to kind of set the stage, set the landscape for today, and understanding that we as Black women, we know that we're underserved. We know that we're overlooked. Oftentimes we're holding our communities together, but who's holding us? That's always the question that we're left asking ourselves. And between misogynoir, gender discrimination, general misogyny, they're consistent parts of our experiences. And we often have to choose between being Black and being a woman, which thing is going to show up today. So today, though, we get to be both, and we get to be secure in the intersectionality of our identity. So with that in mind, I want to take a moment and I want everybody to join me in setting intention for the day. Give yourself permission to take pause and have a moment to care for yourself. Give gratitude where you are in your journey. Prepare yourself to receive today and expect to receive today. And just, take a deep breath, unclench your jaw, lower your shoulders. I want everybody to center themselves. We're going to all have a moment. I'm going to do it myself. And whoever your divine is, your creator, God, thank them for the presence of being able to be here today. It's a really great opportunity. It's a really great space. And I want to honor that before we get started. All right. So everybody, we're going to take like 15 seconds just to do that. All right. Awesome. So now we're about to get into things. We have a great lineup. It's legit fire. So we're going to start with the Fireside Chat with Miss Tiffany Bender. We have a bunch of awesome other speakers talking about any and everything. So you know ahead of time, all sessions are 40 minutes with the exception of the mental health and wellness session. That is 50 minutes. And there will be 5-minute breaks in between each session after the Fireside Chat. So that gives you a moment to run to the bathroom, stretch. We're not going to hold you hostage all day, but really kind of pacing ourselves, but we will continue to move forward. So it is going to be a 5-minute break, but we're going to start after that 5 minutes. So it's going to be a great day. Speaking that to existence now. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce our keynote Fireside Chat with Tiffany Bender. So in her role at Conde Nast Entertainment, Bender produces digital videos and manages live content across the company's vast portfolio of brands, including Vogue, Vanity Fair, The New Yorker, and GQ. Bender also hosted Teen Vogue's own talk show, Teen Vogue Take, discussing topical economic, political, and social issues for the brand's YouTube audience. Prior to Conde Nast Entertainment, Bender was the creator, writer, and executive producer of Ask Auntie, a digital series that lives on BET's owned and operated products. Bender was also an associate producer at NBC Universal Media and MGM Studios. In addition, she produced original content for Investigation Discovery and VH1. Bender began her professional career as a talent booker at SiriusXM and as a live broadcasting production assistant at Wendy Williams. Born in Harlem, New York, Bender continues to engage in her community through her nonprofit organization, Young Harlem, which works to prevent gun violence among Harlem's youth. Bender has a Bachelor of Arts degree from Syracuse University's College of Visual and Performing Arts, where she studied communication and rhetorical studies with a focus on global technology. She also has a master's degree from the SI Newhouse School for Public Communications, studying television, radio, and film. Please welcome Ms. Tiffany Bender. Going to unmute her and bring her to the stage right now. Okay, Tiff. Can you hear? Okay, there we go. It's like, are we here? Awesome. How are you?
Guys, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I know the weather's probably better in LA than it is over here. So
you know what? It's actually pretty gloomy today.
Is it? Okay.
Apparently, LA has this thing called June gloom, so it doesn't really get like nice until July, and then it just skips straight to hell. So I'm enjoying the weather.
Well, no matter where it is, the weather is better than it is in Syracuse.
I'll take it. I'll take it, right?
Awesome. So, just like basically how the whole thing is going to run, we're just going to chat for a minute, and then we're going to open up a Q&A at the end. So, guys, if you have questions and stuff, I would just say save them in the chat to the end, because I'm just going to kind of scroll through the chat. So if you ask them too early, I might miss them. But, have them ready, have them queued up. And get ready for Tiffany to read everybody's life, but with love. I'm going to jump right in. So can you tell folks, I know I read your bio, but just a little bit more about what you do, what you've been working on. Last time we talked, you were in New York City, so now you're on the West Coast. A couple life transitions.
Totally. So I moved to Los Angeles February of last year. And it really just came from a lot of the things that I think you guys will work through today, which was like how to save space for yourself. And I just didn't know how to do that. In fact, I thought it was corny too, because I'm like, no, I need to hustle and like get it. And then when I turn 40, that's when I start, enjoying life and blah, 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 because I'm gonna have this, that, this, and that. And it was like, my body though was like shutting down. And I was in a meeting with some executives actually. And like, you know me, I'm like a very bubbly personality. Like, I'm always trying to have a good time. And I was in this meeting and like, I was just so down. Like I was just like sitting on the table looking over it. And the SVP at the time stopped me after the meeting and she was like, Tiffany, are you okay? First of all, didn't even realize I was like carrying that kind of energy. But she was like, are you okay? And for the life of me, I don't know where this came from because I ain't got it like that to be quitting nobody's job. But I was like, if you guys can't find something more sustainable for me to do and really grow in my career, then I got to leave. And It was kind of like, whoa, let's figure this out. And through just like working through where I wanted to be in my life, how I wanted to grow at the company, LA was the best move. So
Mhm.
I manage a team of about 15 producers and directors. I think the move to LA was both needed for my own personal spiritual growth. Like I just needed a break from New York, being born and raised there. But then I got to join a team that like, they also not only loved content and like directing and producing, but they also really took pride in having a work-life balance. And like, you know, I had never experienced anything like where the office is completely empty and clear by 6 o'clock. Like I remember my manager at the time in LA, I was like there at like 6:45 and he's like, what are you doing? Are you running for president? What are you still doing here? You know what I mean? Like, and there's just such an emphasis, I think, across the city of Los Angeles anyway, this emphasis of wellness. You know, I think most people think of Los Angeles and they think like, oh, you know, Hollywood and all that kind of stuff. Yes, that is the biggest industry here, but the second biggest industry in Los Angeles is wellness. And so I feel like I got really lucky, you know, being able to find myself in like the, you know, the matrix of both of them.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know what that non-hustle life is like. I think the East Coast is born and bred in that.
I learned it though. I mean, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but it is a struggle. Like sometimes like I'll pop up at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning and like it'll take my partner to be like, if you don't lay your ass down, you have nothing to do today. The urge is still there. It is absolutely something you have to unlearn.
So what was unlearning like for you in that process?
It wasn't fun. It was not fun. Like when you are born into a culture like New York City that is just overstimulating and fast paced anyway. And then you add in the fact that I'm from Harlem and it's like, yo, Harlem hustlers, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then on top of that, you add in the fact that like I am overly ambitious, like, and have all the energy in the world. Those things sound like they would make this dope ass nigga millionaire. But then you get to a point where it's like, is it worth it for the cost that it's putting on your body? Right? And so unlearning that, I had to figure out what it meant to prioritize myself and not tie my attachments or not tie my self-worth to working. That's hard when you've been so good. Like, and this is not a flex by any means. I worked very hard to get where I am, but I'm really fucking good at my job. Like I could outproduce the best, right? Is it worth it if inside I am dying? No.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like what stories can I tell from that perspective if I'm tired, if I'm exhausted, if I don't have anything to pour out? The hustle doesn't matter. What am I staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning for if what I produce the next day doesn't hold weight? In a way, if I could just sit in stillness, I could really figure out how I want to tell a story or what I want to say. I don't have to be moving to develop. I don't have to be moving consistently to produce. You know what I mean? I could just sit with myself and figure those things out. But it's hard. It's hard.
I don't have to be moving to develop is right there. Like that's the word. But I think one of the things that might be a question for many people is a lot of the people who are tuning in are young and they're at the start of their career. So for them, it's like, okay, well, ambition is what's distinguishing me from my peers, or like that's what's kind of getting me these opportunities and I'm trying to accelerate quickly. How would you, what would be your advice maybe if you were talking to your younger self? Because now you have a little bit more skin in the game. Like you can tell people I'm leaving. Like, when you're like getting coffee or you're, at the bottom level, right, you ain't gonna know it, but back to your desk. So it's just one of those things of like, how would you recommend people at the start of their career learn to start implementing those steps from the beginning?
I say no matter what, have a hard out. And in production terms, that means like talent's in, we only got them for an hour, we got a hard out at 4 o'clock. You have to have a hard out in your life because, and especially now that I manage teams, I understand how important it is to make sure that your team is holistically succeeding in life, right? So it doesn't do me any good as a boss, as a manager to see my folks burning out. So first of all, if you set a hard out for yourself and your manager's like, no, we need to be here until blah, 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 you should already be thinking in your mind, like, okay, this is something that when I get to that level, I don't want to do to people, one. And two, maybe this isn't the best work environment for me. Like if I would have been able to figure out a lot of toxic work environments before they got beyond toxic, I would have saved myself so much, mental distress. Even in the beginning stages of your career, I really, really encourage people, especially now with companies being terrified to be dragged on Twitter and all those kind of things. Like, of course, have some credibility about yourself, but you have to pick up on toxic work environments earlier. It does, like, everybody doesn't have the privilege to just jump up and quit a job. I understand that, but you do have the privilege of having time to plan and figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how you going to get out of there? But if I would have left so many jobs sooner, I would have been able to join this journey that I'm on a lot earlier. And I would have been able to unlearn a lot of the things, maybe even in New York City. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe it wouldn't have taken a full transplant somewhere else for me to like prioritize myself. And it's scary, right? Because you're new. You don't want to,
Yep.
seem or appear difficult to work with. But I promise you, identifying a toxic work environment earlier will only do you justice, especially as a Black woman, because they will gaslight you into thinking that the things you complain about and the microaggressions that you bring up or the bullying that happens is not real. And it is realer than real. It is, I would rather an outward facing piece of disrespect than consistent microaggressions over the course of a year staying at a company. And that's just me. Because I want to get off from jump. But let's say this.
Right.
Off from jump, because then when I complain to you about it, no, I didn't. How many times I say, no, I didn't. That wasn't my intent. Your intent don't matter. Your intent don't matter. Whether I'm an intern, whether I'm a production assistant, or whether I'm an SVP, you cannot sit in a toxic environment and not think that some of that toxicity is not going to get you. On top of all the other stuff you got to deal with, because there's an academic, there's a neo-civil rights movement happening. Like, you got to simplify your life where you can.
That's a word. And right there. So like, it pivoting into what's going on. Like, one, it's like asinine to try and manage all of those things while kind of being at work. And you kind of talked about how Black women are gaslit oftentimes about what's going on, or like the click kind of culture that, like, especially in the media industry, that, a lot of these businesses have. And so like, with all of that going on, though, like, a lot of people's work hasn't stopped. Like, professionally in your world, like, how has that been for you? Because between COVID and racial unrest, like, I know there's still programming going on. People are still trying to put content out. Like, what is that like for you right now?
So my current situation, I understand, comes from a place of privilege and tenure in the industry. So I'll start there. But I have been able to put a full stop on work and just being communicative with my manager and saying, yo, I'm hurting. I can't do it. Right. And I'm not saying that to say that more entry-level employees shouldn't and can't do that. But the reason why I felt comfortable is because it comes with a level of confidence, right? Like, I know that the work I've put in all this time, you're not going to let me go just because I need a day off or I need a mental health day. But it takes like being confident enough, advocating for yourself enough to know that, like, I can't do this. And the moment that I realized that I will never again work through pain was, I was hosting Teen Vogue Take, and like, my schedule was so crazy. I would be shooting in the morning. First of all, did my own hair, makeup, whatever, shooting in the morning. As soon as we wrapped, I would then run the hard drives from the shoot across, if anyone knows the Oculus in One World Trade Center, I would run it across One World Trade. Sorry, guys. I would run it across One World Trade while I'm taking off my eyelashes, grabbing lunch on the way, whatever's available, and then getting back to my desk to sit with my editor.
That's a lot. Just like in terms of.
I froze. I can't see.
Okay. Oh, no, you're good. I just didn't know. I didn't know if you were done talking.
Oh, no,
I don't want to cut across.
So the day it happened, I had a really bad show because I was burnt out, and you cannot be performing and uppity and all that kind of stuff on camera if inside, it's not right. So I remember sitting with my creative director at the time, and he was like, and I'm sure he had the best intention, but I'm tired, I'm overworked, I'm very sensitive about my work. And he was like, Tiffany, this show wasn't good. Like, why do you think? And any other day, I would have probably ate that criticism and been like, you know what? You're right. That script wasn't tight, whatever. And I just remember like crying. And it was so bad that my body was so tense that I didn't even feel the tears coming out of my face because my body was like on protection mode. Like, anything that's outside, we don't feel it, we don't see it.
Defense mechanism. Right.
And my boss was like, are you okay? And I was like, what? Why do you ask? Psychotic behavior. Like, girl, you are hurting. Like, what are you trying to prove in this moment? And your body is giving a very, very obvious answer, but you're saying the opposite. I stopped doing that. When my body tells me something, girl, I'm riding with you because this is all I have. That job can go. This still will be, trying to recover from the stress of that moment. And I still am. So I've now said, like, I got to prioritize me. I can't spend a year hustling, killing my body, and then spend 2 years repairing it. That's, you know what I'm saying? And so that I'm in that repair state of 10 years. I graduated in 2012. I have been going hard for the last 8 years. I'm tired, and it's going to take me probably about 4 years to like recover. So then you have to look, like, in the long game of life, is it worth it?
Right.
This is the only place of employment I really have for the rest of my life. If she need a day off, I gotta approve it. You know, I gotta approve
it. Use of the time off is always there.
Right, right.
Oh my gosh. So there's like so many gems coming out of that. But like, then on top of that, so you're working on your personal self-repair. And in the midst of that, which you're currently spending time doing, all of these issues come in. And so, like, how has it been for you kind of processing what's going on in the world? Like, I mean, obviously you're taking time for self-priority, but it's not like still things don't affect you. So like, how has that process been for you? What does that look like?
I think to quickly go back to me pushing back to my manager and just saying I need time. I think even allowing myself to know and say that and hold space for myself in that way, like, I have to figure out just how much space I want to hold for everything in the outside world. But whatever it is, so say it's like you have 100% of space to take up. 50% has to go to me. 50% has to go to me. And then that other 50% gets divvied up between work, family, blah, 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 all that stuff, even the news, even the pandemic. And again, it comes from a place of privilege to be able to say, I can only think about this tragic thing this much, but I have to give that to myself. Like, if there's a day when, you know, Black bodies are just dying all over the news and they're being retweeted on the timeline, blah, 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 I feel no guilt about deleting Twitter off my phone for the day and taking a minute. That doesn't mean that I'm not loving and honoring the brothers and sisters that we lose to state-sanctioned violence. It doesn't mean that I don't care about victims we lost to COVID, people, you know, friends and family that I've even lost to COVID. It doesn't mean that I don't care. I care so much. But I want to give it all that it's worth, right? I want to be able to, if it's only 20%, I want to give you that full 20% of the space that I'm holding for you in my heart. Not just, I'm trying to get this, I'm trying to care about that, I'm sending this message, I can't do it no more. It's unsustainable. It's unsustainable, and I hate that.
Yeah.
And I blame myself too for encouraging that kind of hustle culture, like, oh, sleep when you dead. But I blame myself, because I know that there were young girls watching me in my come up, and like I would be at Sirius XM at 6 a.m. I would be at Wendy Williams by 11. I'm working at Aldo from, you know, afternoon close, and I would do it 6 days a week and be proud of that. Where is the space for me? Where's the space for anything even happening in the world? I couldn't even tell you what were the national news events 2012 to like yesterday. Why? Because I couldn't even hold space for that. So once you, I think, really take stock at the things that are priority in your life and figure out how and where you want to keep space for them, then you can go out and say, how do I need to act on how I'm keeping space for these things? And so for me, the way I act on keeping space for people we lose to police violence is by protesting. And so that's one avenue I have there, but it's not consuming my entire mind is what I'm trying to get to. I think in the workplace, like I said, it comes from a place of privilege to be able to tell your manager with full confidence, I need a mental health day. Like a couple years ago, I would have literally thought somebody was like a punk. Like if they came to me as a manager and they were like, I need a mental health day, I would have been like, girl, if you take an Advil and keep it moving, you know, like
Advil. But your brain, you need an Advil, yes.
I was like, mental what? Girl, what? I didn't even think that mental health days were a thing until I had so many white friends in the corporate space. Girl, when people's dogs were dying, they would take 2 weeks bereavement. I was like, for Lassie?
Yeah.
But guess what? That dog took up a lot of space in their heart. And so this is how they need to work through that and process that. I got to give myself that too. And have the confidence to know that like it does not affect my job security. It does not affect my work ethic. It doesn't affect people's perception of how hard I work. But if you need time, take your time. That's something that I'm still learning, honestly.
Right. And I know, like, so you said like you blame yourself for it, which I think so many Black women do, like, because it's almost like from a young age, like that's what we're taught to do. Like you figure out how to make it because that's what Black women do. We survive it.
Yeah.
But like, I know you kind of talked about how you begun to like break that. How would you, like, what do you want to kind of see happen from here, at least for like this next generation of, you have a lot of young Black people really declaring a new kind of personhood for themselves. You know, I want to see a state where the police are abolished. I want to see a place where I'm not asking for reform, I'm asking for revolution. And I'm doing so from a place of earnestness, but also I'm not going to compromise my position. So with this kind of energy that like Gen Z has really brought to this kind of neo civil rights movement, what would you like to see really kind of come out of the changes or the pushes for change that are kind of happening right now?
This is going to sound crazy, but I want Black women to divest. I want us to take several steps all the way back because we don't have nothing else to prove. You get what I'm saying? Like we don't have nothing else to prove. We literally gave y'all civilization. We continue to fight for it. And so we're tired. We're tired.
Exhausted.
And be okay being tired. And I do want to stress to Black women specifically and again, I'm still learning. This is a journey that we're gonna take together.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it is worth learning how to meditate because it allows you to kind of separate yourself from the emotions, from the actions, and really like take stock in what you want to do. I think Black women often just take it all on because we don't even have the time and space to take a step back and be like, wait a minute. We there for, our partners. We're there for the world. We're there at work. We're showing up. We're trying not to look like this while we look like, that's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be myself, yo.
Right.
And I cannot do that if I'm worried about everybody else. So divest. We don't have nothing else to prove. Black women overwhelmingly did not vote for Donald Trump. Like we all want to be when it comes to, well, for the most part, when it comes to the revolutionary work that needs to be done on the outside world. We're so foreign and such strangers to the inside work that needs to be done because we've never had a chance to like take care of ourselves in that way. So I do think that like if you have a day where like you're battling between like, damn, because I don't want them to think I'm a lazy Black woman, blah blah blah. Take that. That's not your weight to carry. That's none of your business. What they think of you. You know the stock you come from. You know the type of Black woman you surround yourself with. And that's something I'm trying to like embody in myself. Like I think I've done well the last year at work, just kind of like making sure that people's perceptions or people's expectations of me don't weigh so heavily on me. But also like, I just want to be myself, and I cannot be myself if I'm worried about how each and every person thinks about my actions or what they want me to be doing. Like, I'm good. So I definitely encourage Black women and Black girls to divest. Like, get taken care of, yo. Get pampered. Go take care of yourself. That's most important. I think that's where the revolution will begin because we come back so much better and stronger. But for now, let some other people fight your fights. Like I was texting my girlfriends, and I think I do well at choosing white friends. I'm just saying. So far, nobody's embarrassed me. So that's okay. Hey, like I just want to let you know I love you and I'm out here for you. And they'll be sending me pictures from protests. And so I was texting my other friends, my Black girlfriends, and I'm like, it feels kind of weird to like have somebody show up for me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, oh, be careful, go home. There's COVID outside. No, you should be risking your life the same way we have forever, pandemic or not. I'm sorry, right? And so I had to work through those feelings of feeling guilty for somebody else taking care of me. And it's crazy because we say we want to be pampered. Like, baby, when I say I'm trying to be a housewife with no kids. Okay, a stay-at-home mom with no kids.
She's an auntie Tiff, only.
But it's so foreign for us to be taken care of in that way. That is what I want that's what I want most immediately for this next wave of wellness. I also think it's really cool that like Black people are even being allowed in the wellness space in this way, like because I think wellness requires time and stillness, and that's something that Black people have just never had the luxury of. We just have been shut out of this industry that's now worth billions, right? When really and truly a lot of the practices that they use in wellness are from like Afro spiritualism or from Greek mythology and all that kind of stuff. So it's not even really y'all. Where it's money from.
Let's talk about it.
And in that, you get to rediscover a lot of the things that are naturally within you that we could be using every day to help us stay well.
That, I mean, We can end the thing right now, to be honest. But everybody get your questions ready because I'm about to ask Tiff one more question, then we're gonna open up the Q&A real quick. So get your questions ready, and then I'm gonna, read them off the chat. But I also, with that, Kanique said you're Tiffany the Jules Bender, so I had to pin that in the stage chat because that's your name from now on. But altogether, if you had to define like a sentence like, Tiffany Bender used to be this kind of person, Tiffany Bender is now that, well, what would you define that
as? Tiffany Bender used to be addicted to stress.
Addicted to.
Tiffany Bender now is redesigning what success looks like for herself.
That's good.
You like that?
That's good. That is good. Okay. I have to give that and it was on the fly because I probably couldn't have done it that quickly. But that's
because in my dream career is actually to be a rapper, so I'm like always ready with bars.
Okay. So you got a couple? Could you spit some? I mean, a little Easter Ray in the mirror.
That's for the after. Okay, that's for the cocktail party. But I say that because I think, like when I was like in college and like figuring out what I wanted to do in my life, I never, ever, ever included how I wanted to feel. And so it was like I knew how much money I wanted to be making. I knew where I wanted to live. I knew what kind of house I wanted to live. But I never figured out how I wanted to feel. And so for me, it's like that is chief priority in success. Like, because I could have, I'm not saying I could have been, but like if I reached the level of Oprah and all that kind of stuff, but I don't feel good, what's the point?
Right.
Like, and I know, like, I don't believe in this saying that money can't buy happiness. Like, first give me the money, let me find out for myself. But I get the sentiment behind it, meaning that, like, again, it doesn't matter if you're not happy.
All right. So you divest, don't be addicted to stress. Don't be gaslit. You just, drop chapters. That's a book right there. And I'm, happy to help promote that and whatever it is that you need with that. But tell people how they can find you, whether it's social media or website or whatever. And then we're going to open up Q&A.
I can be found at Miss Tiffany Bender, MS Tiffany Bender, all over. Be sure to follow bigfree.hny, which is a clothing store my family owns, and Afrochella across everything.
Awesome. And then wait, because Afrochella, I'm gonna just put a little plug in there. So you have a really big role in that. Can you just like slip that in there so people I know who you are?
And also, I don't know if we have time left, but I want to speak to that only because yes, I have a very big role. I feel so grateful. That's a whole nother conference on what traveling back and forth to Africa so much has done for my journey, even also. But yes, I'm good at the job, but there was a level of luck and just like universe meeting, because also the founder is my best friend, right? So it's like, it's not like I applied for this job and then, so I say that to say, support your friends. Like this conference, the friends that you have, the work that you guys did on this, that is experience. And don't discount it just because it's like, oh, this is just my friend stuff. Like if I felt like, oh, this is just my friend little music festival 4 years ago, I would have been looking so stupid, because now it's like, I'm so proud of him. I'm so excited to like sign into my Afrochella email. Like it's like the coolest thing to me still. So I say that to say like, support your friends on the ground level stuff and build, because that's how you get to like the LeBrons and Mavericks. They built
right.
together, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, one, the Afrochella job wasn't something that I applied for, so don't feel like you're not getting those experiences or those opportunities. It literally was like, that's my best friend. Who else are you gonna ask? But then obviously I know how to do my job. But then also support your friends now. Support them.
Right.
Sorry, I'm out of content at Afrochella. I forgot to, but yeah.
Right. Awesome. So thank you so much. Now the questions are open. I know these are coming a little bit slower than how y'all are asking them, but feel free to pop those in, hit send. I'll give y'all a few seconds to do that. And then we can kind of go from there. Let me see. I'm gonna check both of these chats. Also, too, people who are tweeting, because I see some people tweeting, you can use the hashtag BWH2020 so that, we can track the conversation on Twitter if you want, do that. So if I don't follow you, I can still see what you're saying. But definitely pop your questions in the chat. Shout out to Olivia Zimmerman, who she's been in the chat, but she designed all of our brand aesthetic. And Anya Philogene, who ran like the social media pages. So the two of them together, like pretty much put all of the aesthetic for this together. And she is a really dope social media person, runs a dope social media page for every stylish girl. And she was like, oh, like there's a thing called Hop In. And I was like, what? But from like learning about it, I was like, oh, this is perfect. And it's not super expensive or anything like that. And none of the costs from my end gets transferred onto anybody else. So I was like, oh, this is definitely where we got to go. Yeah, all right. We got our first question. It says it's from Natasha Webb Prather. I'm not sure.
That's my sister, Natasha Webb Prather. Yeah.
Prather, okay. She asked, are there any books you've read that assisted you on this journey that you'd recommend?
Okay. I recommend this book all the time to recent graduates, but it's called The Defining Decade. I mean, it's supposed to be about your growth in your 20s, and like it won't give you the answers, but it will give you qualitative data. Like, you get a fork in the road. If you go this way, here's the statistics for the people that chose this path. And here's, like, so again, it won't give you the answers, but there is comfort in knowing like the decisions you make. You can very, very clearly see like the steps that people have taken and where that landed them. And so if you're the kind of person that, like me, very controlling, you want to know what's going to happen every second of your day. I think that book is incredibly helpful. The book I'm reading now that is like wrecking me in the best way called The Untethered Soul.
Untethered Soul?
Yes. Okay. Author's name, which is awful, but
I'm gonna take notes of these and we can put in the chat.
Untethered Soul. That book, first of all, I'm so embarrassed because at this point I should be highlighting every line. Like it's like not even, but that book also really gets into what I was saying with being able to step back from yourself, from the emotions and the actions, and figure out what you really want or what your soul really wants. And outside of books, Debbie Brown's podcast, Debbie Brown is a Black wellness leader in this space. And I just think that she's so good and she's so incredible and talks to us in a way that we get it. Like no, it's like, you got your shit with you. You need to sit through this and think about X, Y, and Z. And she also specializes in generational trauma, which a lot of the things that we are trying to fight through and in all the best and all the worst ways, right? Outside of that, I have really, really just been trying my best to sit in silence when I can. And I don't looking at that. I'm the kind of person that like, I gotta take my phone to the shower, I gotta find a podcast, I gotta find a video. If I gotta go to the garbage, I'm getting my headphones, and the garbage is across the hall. And when I realized that I kept doing that, it's like I was purposely avoiding the voice in my head and having that conversation. And so now, really and truly, more than anything that's helping me journey is my commitment to just trying to be in silence when I can and spend time with my thoughts. Like, I know a lot of people will agree, like, my best ideas come in the shower. They can't come in the shower if you also got the podcast going and you talking to this friend and, so where you can just find moments of silence.
That's dope. We got a lot of questions here. Okay. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to all of these guys because we do have to wrap up soon, but I'm going to try and get to as many as possible. So someone said, Tia Haley, not these last names right, I'm sorry. How would you recommend dealing with microaggressions in the workplace during this time?
I think there is strength in numbers. And so if you can find a Black or minority employee, or even just even better, an ally, a white ally, and put that burden on them. And like I said, Black women divest. But you know what I noticed about microaggressions too, because we're so unsure whether or not and you don't want to be the angry Black woman. We're like, I think she kind of, now I give it up with all the dramatics. It really hurt my feelings. I cannot believe, you got to carry, okay? Because they need to know that, it hurt my feelings. When they see a Black woman is angry, I'm giving it up crazy, okay? So that is second, but I do think that there's strength in numbers. Talking to somebody to just, again, gut check, am I tripping? How would you feel? And then if you have a supportive manager, take it to your manager. If you can, and that person, maybe meant no harm or had no malicious intent, they just are dumb and it's an unconscious bias, speak directly to it in the moment. Moment. I had somebody, I was going through it with a coworker, and our manager pulled us both together, and she was like, Tiffany, you're just so aggressive with me sometimes. And I was like, we're going to find a different word to use because I don't know if you know, but when you say aggressive to a Black person, these are the connotations that it has. So do you mean aggressive or do you just mean that I'm very direct with you?
Bloop.
Let's clear this up right now. And
right.
She doubled down and said aggressive, and I got up from the table because one thing you will never be able to call me in a workspace is aggressive. But unfortunately, it comes from the daily stress and anxiety that I have of not wanting to look aggressive. So what you're not going to do is weaponize that word against me when I have to work just as hard at my job as not looking aggressive as a Black woman.
Right.
Right. So that's that. Moral of the story is dramatics, ladies.
Yeah. I love that tip. But okay, we got 2 more questions, y'all, because then we gonna have to. I'm gonna give y'all directions now for the next part.
Tweet me. We can talk.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Tiff is super accessible too. Yeah. I'm gonna ask 2 more questions, and then you guys can see on the left sidebar of your screen, you should have a thing called sessions. You're gonna go into the sessions with Asile Patton and Brianna Turner, and Asile will be talking about how the revolution is a multi-lane highway, and you don't have to stay in one lane. Brianna is a public health aficionado who studies Black women and cardiovascular disease, stress on their bodies, and she's going to be talking about getting rid of Superwoman syndrome and why you need to effectively. So after this wraps up, y'all can move directly over there. I know I cut a little bit into y'all transition time, but we just started, so I hope y'all not that tired yet. But second to last question is, in your journey to self-preservation, this is from Erica Parrish, in your journey to self-preservation, have you cultivated any morning or night routines to help you refocus and decompress?
Yes, I take my vitamins. I realized that a lot of my stress, it was manifesting in my body in ways that like I needed to kind of counteract in a very tangible way. So I take my vitamins every day. I make sure that I drink literally I drink 5 of these a day. And I'm telling you,
I be struggling with this. I struggle with this, and it's not that.
Water is that girl, okay? Water is that girl. So I'm sure to take my vitamins. I see how my body feels when I don't, so I try to really. But anxiety will also make you think that even taking your vitamins sometimes is too much. Mm-hmm. Fight through it, ladies. Fight through that anxiety. Fight through that depression, and take care of yourself. And then I just try to move. Even if I just take a walk for 30 minutes or an hour, I try to do that at least every day. So.
Awesome. And this is the last question. It's from Olivia Zimmerman, and it says, has this quarantine affected your productivity? In addition to making the time for yourself, has it been more difficult to structure your work-life balance?
My productivity was definitely challenged, but I think in the best way, in that I had to come face to face with those days when you really don't have shit to do. So what are you so anxious and sit down and relax? Mm-hmm. And I'm fighting the guilt of not coming out of this a best-selling author and, a new TV show and all that. So
knowing how to make bread.
Up about that. I remember, and this is something, please take it. My therapist gave me this. The only thing you need to do is do no harm during this time. The only thing you need to do is do no harm. So if all you can manage to do in the day is take your vitamins, drink your water, and feed yourself, guess what? You're a rock star. So take that with you.
That's beautiful. Just thank you so much for literally all of it. It was great. I will most definitely get you that coffee that I owe you for waking up so early.
You had me up at 6 a.m., y'all. I'm sitting here trying to learn how not to do nothing, and this girl's
and that's the second time, because when you came to Houston, you had that shoot. I know your flight was at 5 o'clock in the morning, so I probably owe you 2 coffees. But definitely, I'm appreciative. I know people got a lot from this. The chat has been moving this whole time. I will, for the people who ask, I will put the book recs in the chat, and I'll see if I can put it in the comments.
I'll take a minute after this and just collect a bunch of resources that I do have, but maybe I can't think of. And just email to everyone or whatever, how you want to do it.
Yeah, I have an email list to everybody who's registered, so that's perfect. So you guys get a follow-up email anyway, so I can add that in there. That's perfect.